Hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third season of the groundbreaking podcast, First and Foremost. I'm your host, First Lady Lakeitha London, and it has truly been my pleasure. The format for First and Foremost is simply this. You and I have a very unique opportunity to hear First Ladies from around the United States share with us their gifts, their talents, and their personal stories, their personal testimonies, and their personal lives. We get to hear it straight from the First Lady because she's sitting right here. First Lady, what really happens when the hats come off? And speaking of hats, each of our First Ladies always donate a hat. That hat is auctioned off during the course of her show. Opening bid is $50. If you're interested, please give us a call at 313-759-1568, and a First and Foremost host will be happy to assist you. And where does that $50 go, you wonder? It goes to pay Jason. I am responsible for taking care of the show, and Jason is my producer, so the bidding on the hats is how I actually fund the show. So if you're interested in donating funds, please give $, Lady Lakeitha, or give us a call again at the 313-759-1568. I want to take this time to thank First Lady Carly Cooper from the New Mount Moriah Baptist Church, who was in the first chair on last week. If you missed the show, you do have an opportunity to go back and look at it, but she was a sheer delight. First Lady Carly, if she ever had any doubt, her church absolutely loves her. They showed up and showed out. Her husband was present every step of the way, so thank you so much, Pastor Cooper. I love you, and thank you for letting your wife be on the First and Foremost show, and I hope you don't make her get her car fixed and repaired. You're supposed to do that. That's not her job. So you're supposed to do that. So Lady Carly, you actually really graced the first chair. Such a mature woman, and when I say mature, I know that we're of a certain age, but not all of us are mature. And it sounds like you're very well grounded. You're never too old to go back to school, so kudos to you for going to get your associates, your bachelor's, and be well on your way to your master's, and certainly for Pastor Cooper allowing you to stay home while you're able to do that. That's a wonderful thing. So I'm not gonna say I'm jealous much, but I think that's a wonderful thing. So again, thank you so much, Carly Cooper, First Lady. And then on top of that, I would be remiss if I didn't say that song that you sang us at the end was just a piece de resistance. So thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Again, it was truly a pleasure, and I do look forward to us going to lunch. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I know you're waiting to see who is in the first chair tonight, and I am so excited. Someone told me that Facebook will be the best way to get in contact with these First Ladies, and truly that has the way that it's been, even though some of these First Ladies have come into my life other ways, and I'm just so glad to have my first guest in the first chair on tonight. So in the first chair on tonight, the greater woman behind the great man that is Reverend James Johnson Sr. of the Sweet Home Missionary Baptist Church. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you First Lady Toni Lene Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it is my pleasure to have you. Finally, we get a chance to talk this real conversation.
Absolutely.
Talk. So you ready for it?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to just mix up a few questions today. Normally I start with knowing about you and then going into some First Lady stuff. So it'll just be a hodgepodge of things. So let's get into this. Lady, tell me about Toni Lene. Who is she?
I am a daughter I come from a family of 5 girls. Okay. I'm the baby.
Oh, good for you.
4 beautiful children. I am somebody who I love to make people laugh. I love to pour into people when I can. Been married for almost 20 years.
Really?
Almost 20 years.
Oh,
it'll be
goodness.
20 August 19th.
Oh, what a blessing.
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
20
Thank
years.
God. Thank God. It has not always been easy,
And
but it's a
never is.
blessing.
Amen. Amen.
Yes,
He
and
didn't say it would be.
this has been a journey because it was not something that I expected going into this role. Obviously, it's something that honestly I would have ran away from.
Understood. Understood. Every First Lady that's been in this chair said the same thing, so I understand.
If they would have told me my husband was going to be a pastor, I probably would not have married him. I'm just going to keep it
That's
real.
true. Please do. Please do. Please do. Please
But
do.
I love him dearly. But yes, I'm just really just a down-to-earth, cool person. A little nervous, so bear with me. It's not a lot to me. I love my family. I'm a family-oriented person. And it's pretty much it. I don't have a lot about myself that I would say is just outstanding, but one thing that I do feel like I bring to people and something that I love to do is make people smile.
So what do? Are you a jokester? Do you put pranks on people? Or are you just...
Listen, I try to tell jokes. I think my side of the family get me a little bit more because we probably like, they get my corny jokes.
Yes.
Other people don't quite get it, so I can make them laugh a little bit more than I can make other people laugh.
Understood.
But yeah, I've always been the one that just kind of like has stood out and been like an extrovert, I would say.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
that's interesting.
Everyone, yeah.
Okay, that's very interesting. Tell us something that people would be surprised to know about you.
That with me being an extrovert, that I am like very afraid of speaking in public.
Really?
And it seemed like it would be the opposite.
Yes.
When you're an extrovert, you kind of like speak to everyone. But I'm someone like when I get in front of a crowd, it's very hard because I'm also someone who can't like come from the dome. You know, you have people who can just, I have to think about everything and then come back later. Yeah. So that's one thing about me I feel like most people probably would be shocked about.
Because you're always out there.
Because I'm out there and I'm outgoing. I'm not out there, but I'm outgoing.
Yes.
And but I'm not a crowd speaker at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So
and sometimes I think our position kind of forces us to do a little bit of that.
Yes, I've had to speak a couple times, but the last few times I've declined because I'm just like, I don't think this is for me.
Understood.
And you know, you don't want to be forced to do something.
No, you do not.
And I feel like if I do it, I want it to be, okay,
natural,
God told me to do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I feel like when God tells me to do it, it will be more natural. I mean, I feel like you will still have some kind of anxiety that comes along with it. But when you know that God is telling you to do it, then you're more willing to do it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it takes away some of that fear as well.
Yes. I do understand that. Well, share with me your love story. We want to hear all about it.
Me and my sister are married to brothers. So
that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
I actually met my husband when he wasn't my husband then, but I spoke it into existence.
Amen.
I was like 11 when I met him.
Oh, wow.
And I saw him, he had on, you know, his Jordan black, red, and white. You know, back then that's what you look for. You know, it's popular. That's true. And I told my sister, I said, tell him I'm going to marry him. And she was like, I'm not telling him that. I'm like, tell him. And I ended up being, I think when I turned 12, we started dating.
Oh, wow.
My mom was not supposed to know this.
See,
he was my first boyfriend at 12.
Wow.
Yes. Innocent, but it was still my first boyfriend. We broke up for a moment and we ended up getting married. I was 24. He was 25 when we got married.
Wow.
Yes.
And almost 20 years. Yes. Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. That's a beautiful love story. What does he call you? What's your nickname?
He don't call me anything.
Good.
That's crazy.
No, would you like a nickname?
I want to feel special. Like, hey, boo, babe. He don't do none of that.
Are you listening? Are you
Toni.
listening, Pastor? Are you listening, Pastor? You better get her a nickname. What do you call it? A term of endearment. You better figure that out. Yeah, I understand that. Name 5 people that you spend most of the time with in your day-to-day life, and how are these individuals helping you live a fulfilling life?
My day is so busy, and so I'm gonna be honest, like the ones that I'm around daily is really my household, to be honest. But there's people that I go to and that pour into me, and it's my mom and my sisters. That's awesome. I have 4 sisters. And I have my mom. So that's the 5 top anyway. Yeah. And it's a blessing because they have like really strong, always in church growing up. We were in church, but church wasn't necessarily always in us. And the older we've gotten, we've really matured in Christ. Absolutely. And so when I'm going through things, those are the first ones that I call and I contact. Absolutely. Yeah. So I have 2 sisters that are ministers. One of them is an intercessor. My mom is an elder. You know, so we have that power as you know in the background too. But all of us believe we all are there for each other. When they're going through, they also reach out to me. So we just
awesome.
Yeah, it's a community of love. So
that's awesome. That's all. Nothing like family as far as I'm concerned. What do you want less in your life?
Ooh. Less? I would say stress, but I don't have a lot of stress anymore. I don't allow stress to get to me.
That's a blessing.
In my life.
How do you avoid stress? I think all of us want to hear that.
Honestly, I have gotten to a point where if I can't change something or if I don't have control over it, I don't worry about it. I'm also, it took time for me to mature, but I don't focus on things long. Like if I'm having issues or someone made me angry or I don't focus on it. And then in the midst of chaos, I think because of my job, I've been working in the medical field since I've been 19. And so most of my jobs were chaotic, 72 doctors at one of my facilities. And so it actually helped me to be more patient.
Yes, for sure.
The people and actually it helped me in my walk as well and in my position that I'm in now, because me being in the medical field has helped to cultivate me where I am now, because you don't really kind of like put it together, but I feel like God was kind of preparing me for this position because
in retrospect, I love that.
Like you meet people that are sick.
Yeah.
They're not having good days.
Right.
And you meet people from different walks.
That's true.
And you find yourself like pouring into them and just trying to make them feel better. It took me, it wasn't always easy, but I think maybe about 4 years ago, I realized, I was like, was God kind of like
preparing you for that?
He was preparing me for this moment, and I never would have put two and two together.
And we don't, because it's God's plan for us.
Yeah.
And I think that's good, especially in the medical field. I'll just say this. You deal with that at work and you leave that at work because you have something else at home.
Absolutely.
You really have to be able to separate
You have to separate it. I am one, I don't bring my problems from home to work.
Right.
I try to encourage people that surround me not to do that. You have to learn to separate it, because you encounter so many people, and that encounter makes a difference. It makes a difference. Someone can be having a very bad day and you just made it worse, and they go home and you never know what happens after they leave. So I'm very intentional about the impression that I leave on people. When I was younger, I probably didn't care.
Right.
Of course. But like I said, just growing naturally, and then also growing in Christ. You become more intentional about what you say and what you do, So, but another thing is prayer. I pray. I can be walking in the bathroom, going up the stairs, I'm going to pray, and it could be something little, but when I need God to relieve that stress, if it's starting to,
that's wonderful.
I'm talking to him.
That's wonderful. I wish you could look someone straight in the eye out there and say that, because you have to learn to separate that. You really do, because it will consume you.
Yes.
And you can't allow that. I think that's wonderful. So at your job, this is not one of my questions here. How do they see you? Do they know that you're a first lady?
You know what? Okay, so they know that I'm a believer.
Okay.
And it's not even because I had to tell them. It's really shocking, okay, because I used to, my old office, I have people that come up to me and I'm sorry I cussed in front of you. And I'm like, what do you mean, know? But it's because that light that they see, they have this respect for you when they see that you know that you follow Christ or that you live this life. They don't want to disrespect you.
Yes.
And so at first I wouldn't go home like, why are they acting like this? This is weird. I'm just a normal person. But my mom had to tell me, she's like, they just
see the light.
You and they see that. But I have so many people that'll be like, can you pray for me? And I've had to stop like while I was triaging a patient before and just pray. So for me, it's a big deal. I thank God that people can see that in me.
Yes. Yes.
Even when you don't see it in yourself.
That's true.
Because other people, I feel like other people see the good in you before you see it in yourself.
I agree with that 100%.
So
because we're so hard on ourselves.
We
That's
are.
what it is. That's
We
what
are.
It is. Very critical of ourselves.
Very.
So it takes other people. So that's important. So you never, and when I say you don't go around saying, I'm first lady, I'm first lady,
No.
it is a light that truly shines in people.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. The title is, I've never really
embrace the title.
No,
I understand that. We're going to get into that.
Yes,
I understand that. I understand that. I've heard that, so we definitely going to talk about it because I've heard other people say that too. How often do you reflect on your life around birthdays, anniversaries? Sometimes people do that. How often do you find yourself doing that?
I reflect on it a lot because I'm gonna be honest. Like, you live your life, especially us as mothers, women, men too, but as mothers, when you get married young, you have children young, your life, they become your life.
That's true.
And so a lot of times I'm sitting back and reflecting, where could I have been, or what could I have done better? I reflect a lot, especially after my son passed away. It's a lot of reflecting, and what if, but you kind of lose yourself.
Yeah. Yes,
and
you do.
It's nothing against my husband or my kids, but you lose yourself because you're just constantly they are the focus.
That's true.
And so now at 43, almost 44, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to go back to school? Do I want to start a business? So I reflect a lot.
Okay, that's good.
I've been asking since this fast that we've been in, I've been asking God for direction when it comes to every aspect and every area of my life. Yeah, so yeah.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And we have to do that for ourselves. We really do. What do you think is one of the hardest life challenges you've had? And I think you just talked about that a little bit.
Yeah. Losing my son, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not something most parents you would not. No. We're supposed to go first.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was absolutely the worst. I have never experienced anything that bad in my life.
I know, and I'm sure you're still getting through it.
I am, but you know what? I have a peace that is unexplainable. I have my times. I feel like what God has helped me to see is that even as a leader of the church, that I have to allow people to see every emotion.
Yes.
Because I believe that often when we're in church, we're just, I'm good, praise the Lord, God is good. No, He gave us these emotions.
Yes.
And I'm gonna utilize every last one of them, but I won't let it get me down. But I will say that it is a peace that I cannot explain. I have my sad moments, but I smile so much. And I think you also get this guilt grief where you're moving on and you feel bad about it because you don't want to forget.
Right.
You don't want to make it seem like I'm doing good
without him.
Right. But we do have to move on.
Yes,
but
we do.
Yes, we do. Definitely is the hardest time. And he was such a beautiful spirit. Everyone
you knew him. Yes, I did.
He just was amazing.
Yes, he was
amazing. You question God.
Yeah.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I don't think he makes mistakes.
No, he doesn't.
And so, we have to roll with the punches, but I like I said, it's a piece that I cannot explain that I have. That's a
wonderful thing.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have killed me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would have took myself out.
I'm sure.
And I'm just going to be honest, because a lot of people, they lose members and they go totally left.
Yes, they do.
God has kept me to a place where I'm still able to just. I also know that I have other people to live for.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go.
Yes. So, my kids, little James would not want me to be in a place of depression, and I'm not saying that if someone goes through depression, it's a bad thing. But for me, I did not go that way. God has given me a peace, and I'm hanging on to it. I'm not going to push it away. I needed that peace.
Is it something that you could share with other especially mothers who've lost their children, not just today, but in your life and the people that you encounter, as a testimony that you'll get through it? And then, I don't mean that in a negative way.
Yeah,
I mean just what you said.
Yeah, one thing that I don't tell them how to feel.
Right.
I don't tell them, oh, it's going to take this amount of time, but I tell them to feel.
Yeah.
And allow themselves, because crying is part of our healing process as well.
Yes.
But I do tell them, look at me. I made it. And the thing is that you don't want to be in that group. No. You really don't want to. No. But what helped us too is that we do have other people around us that have lost children.
Yes.
And we see them, they're okay, they're thriving.
Yeah.
So that also helped us. You never want to be part of it, but unfortunately, things happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes things happen. So I actually just reached out to a young lady on Facebook.
Okay.
I had inboxed her, and I seen that she had just lost her son. So when I do see that, I try to encourage them, and I let them know, like, I may not know you, but you got some people on the outside praying for you.
That is so beautiful.
Absolutely.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And I don't know, as women, I'm not going to say that in death we're going to be more of a comfort, because we don't do that in business. Yeah. I'm not going to call you and DM you and say, look, you're thriving and all of that. No. But I will DM you and say, baby, I'm praying for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's an interesting dynamic. So we're really going to have to work on that. Because I'm sure, I know that sometimes I would appreciate, girl, you're doing good.
You're doing good.
You know, all is well. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
As opposed to, certainly I want to be reached out to if I'm grieving.
Yeah.
But it's just the whole encouraging thing for women. We need to do more of that.
Absolutely, I agree.
So, how did your children, when they see you, mommy, do you still have things around the house that remind you of him? Is there a keepsake that you have that you're always gonna hold dearly?
Those little Crocs I wore, those my babies.
I love that. She came in the office here with some Crocs on. She's got on some high heel boots now.
I try to take I went out of town. I had his blanket with me. My husband got us all a chain with his date of birth on it.
I love that.
So yeah, I try to keep something around.
Absolutely,
sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. As long as you really remember him, even in quiet times, they're still going to be alive, and you will see them again. You know that. So when was the last time you cried?
Ooh, honestly, I had a moment about 3 weeks ago, and because you'll have very good days, and then you'll have a day where you feel like you just want to throw up.
Right.
And I'm just, this
That's
is
true.
just the best
That's
that I
true.
can explain it, and you start seeing why. But then after you cry, you get up and you're okay.
Right.
For me.
Right. Right.
But yeah, so a few weeks ago, I had a moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you watch those videos. A lot of people have videos of him praying. They post, and so they'll come up on my memory. And so you see it, and it's like you're very emotional, but then it makes you smile.
Yes. Yes.
Because he was such a blessing.
He was such a blessing.
Yes.
Such a powerful little kid to
yes.
be so little. Yeah. Very effective. Yeah. What would you do differently if you knew no one would judge you?
If I knew no one would judge me?
Especially in this first lady role. I will tell you, for me, and I'm not speaking about the lady with the dress, I'm not talking about her, but I think for me it would be dressing, not differently, but a little more freer, because you're so judged about that. You wore that?
That is so true, but I'm going to tell you something about dressing. I feel like the closer you get in your relationship with God, like your heart, like you just start, because it's some stuff that's super cute. I have dresses that are those little one pieces. I cannot put them on.
Because you feel some kind of way.
Feel some kind of way.
Yeah,
like
consciously.
It's just consciously, and it's not that it's revealing, but it's just like in my mind, like I can't even put it on. Exactly. No judgment to anybody. It's just for me.
Understood.
The closer I get to him, he like, nope. And
I tell people all the time, when you reach into your closet and you be like, and if you get that piece of doubt, you already know you shouldn't put that on.
Now I'm gonna tell you the truth. I do like some little skirts.
Yeah.
When they loose, but I know I can't wear those.
Well, that's what I said. It would be my clothes. If I knew I couldn't be judged, it would be some clothes that I
wouldn't wear it to church, but I would
wear it. No, of course not. But I would wear it out. I would definitely wear it out. I have
put something on right after James became a pastor, and he was like, "You do know you're a first lady," and I was like,
Wow.
Walked out.
Wow.
chased
Wow.
the-
Wow.
And we weren't even at church. We were at like a, but I understand because you
Yes.
just never know who you're going to run
You're
into.
always being watched.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's the number one thing I find out. You're always being watched, right, wrong, or different. Waiting to see what you got on, what you're doing, who you with. Always, always, always. You can't get away from that.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. What is something that you've done that has made you, that you're very proud of at this stage of the game?
I know this is cliche, but it's so cliche, but it's my children.
Of course, you should
Raising my, I feel like I have great kids. I mean, they're not perfect, but I feel like we've raised our kids to be, they have developed their own relationship with God.
Amen.
They're talented in their own ways. Very mature. All my kids are different, so I had to realize that like you can't treat this one the way you treat this one because they all have different personalities.
Yes.
But me being a mom is probably it's my proudest moment. Yeah, and I honestly, growing up, I used to say, I don't have no kids. I'm not having no kids.
Right.
I started, and I love them dearly. I mean, I feel like you always feel like you could have done better. That's me.
Of course.
You know,
because I'm sure your mom thinks that, you know, and her mom thought that, you know, can I do better or am I doing better?
Am I doing better?
Yeah.
Did they learn anything from me? You know?
Yes. Now, as with your children, you've got 4 children.
I have 4.
As PK kids, how are they, or how are you separating that? Because, you know, people will talk about the PK kids, and I don't mean this in a negative way because it's just true.
Yeah.
That they act a certain way or that you let them get away with stuff. How are you addressing that? Or do you and Pastor talk about that at all?
I don't think we've had to.
Okay.
I think it makes a difference too when they were older as PK kids. So
that makes a difference.
It makes a difference. They didn't grow up into that. They were already, Brianna is 24. James has only been a pastor for 5 years.
Okay.
Jamie is 20. Malia's 8. Little James would have been turning 18.
Wow.
So for them, I think it's a little bit different. And then we don't have that much pressure at our church.
That's good.
We got some real laid back people at our church.
That's good.
You know, I love our members.
Good.
So but the one thing I will say is I try not to force them to do things in church.
Yes. That's it.
I don't want to force them. I want them to want to do it.
You have to.
But when he first started, it's like they had to wear so many different hats. You know, we have to help that.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
And as more people came, other people started to take over. But my daughter Jamie, she's a nurse. She sings in the choir. She helps with praise and worship. She helps teach the kids.
Very good.
Brianna, she helps with the digital.
Okay.
And she does announcements, and she also nurses, and she's in the choir. So they're still very busy. And she's working with the youth as well. So I tell them, like, you don't have to do it, but I want them to want to serve.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah.
It looks like we have a question. Is that what you said, Jason, from the audience?
Oh, they need to call in.
If you have any questions, I apologize. I thought he said we have a question. Please give us a call at 313-759-1568. In the first chair is who you think it is. That's First Lady Toni Lene from the Sweet Home Missionary Baptist Church. And I think that's really good that the kids, because it makes a difference. My daughter is 12 years old. She grew up in a church, so it's a whole nother story because there are expectations on her as well. And we've already got the stigmatism of, you know, that she's doing this and doing that. I really blame that on Pastor, but we'll talk about that later on. So. We'll talk about that later on. What is the most valuable lesson that you've learned, and who taught it to you?
To be slow to speak.
That's a good one. Yes.
And I would say just members have because you gotta know when. Okay.
Yes.
You have to watch what you say, and you gotta know when to say it at the right time.
Yes.
But I think that comes with learning your members as well.
That is too.
Because once you start being around them, you know them very well. You know, you start to develop these relationships with them, so you know kind of how to approach each individual.
Yes.
But yes, like this position has taught me to be slow
Absolutely.
to speak. And I used to think it was a bad thing, honestly, but it's actually a good thing because I know even in my past that I used to speak too soon and then I would offend people.
Yes.
And so me being obedient and saying, okay, listen, I'm just gonna wait a minute and wait and hear from God or whatever. I'm just gonna wait before I speak. It has lessened that spirit of offense, you know. So yeah,
and the Bible speaks of that for being slow. But I'm reading a book now that speaks about holding your tongue. But my philosophy is, and I think I saw this on Facebook, where you put your top lip like this and the bottom like this, and shut, you know, just shut up. You know, so I'm in that phase now. I have really probably about 2 years now, because I realized that. And it's like choosing your battle. So let me just leave that alone. I've left a lot of stuff alone. I'll pick it up later on, but I've left a lot of stuff alone. So it's best to be slow. What do you think is the number one struggle for first ladies?
Can I?
Yes.
Just for myself or
Yes.
just
I mean, in general, what do you think?
Because I think it's just so different for each individual and the
You don't
church
think there's
that
one
they're
thing
in.
that the first ladies share or have in common as a struggle?
Acceptance, maybe, or struggle, maybe. Don't take this personal, babe. But I think one thing, I don't know if all first ladies feel this way, but I feel when it comes to
Say it. I mean, that's what this show is for.
pastors
I want
pouring
to know.
into their wives like they pour into members. It's a little bit different. And I think it's because, you know, they see our ability. They know our relationship with Christ. And so I don't think they really look at that part. And for me, like I separate husband and pastor. My husband comes first. I know people be like, oh, it's the same thing. For me, it's not. My husband comes first.
It isn't.
But so when I want my pastor to talk to me, I want you to pray for me like you pray for them. I want you to talk to me like you talk to them. And I think sometimes it's not that they do it intentional.
Right.
But they have so many people to pour into.
That's true.
And it gets heavy.
That is
you know, so
true.
by the time he get home, I don't even want to like burden him, you know, more. But I think, I don't want to say for all first ladies, but I know that can be a thing. And then too, I think it can be hard for first ladies to separate the man of God.
Pastor.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to do that. I thought there was something wrong with me. It really took a long time for me to separate the two.
I had to ask God for help. It came, I'm telling you, it came with time, because I was like, no, I don't want to listen to him. Right. He just made me mad this morning.
Exactly.
Yeah, God had to get me together, though.
He still get me together on that. I tell Bishop all the time, I love Bishop London. That Larry, he's something else. Now, he is something else. And I'm just learning to separate that. And it's a good thing. It really is a good thing. It has to be.
Yes, absolutely.
I wanted to, you got into another question that I really want to ask, and we're going to get into that. But my director is telling me that it's time for a commercial break. So, ladies and gentlemen, please listen to this great commercial that Jason has just edited, and we'll be right back. Thank you. Hello everyone, First Lady Lakeitha London here, you know, the host of First and Foremost, the show that's all about the First Lady. Well, I just wanted to let you know that we are excited to announce the First and Foremost First Lady Honor Contest. We want to celebrate the incredible women who stand as leaders, visionaries, and pillars in their community. So we invite you to submit some nominations to recognize a First Lady who has gone above and beyond in service, leadership, and in love. I need you to submit your 20 to 30 second video telling us why this First Lady is deserving of this honor and how she actually made an impact. The deadline for your submission is May the 5th. The grand prize will be a celebration and a live taping with your First Lady and up to 10 guests at our sponsor's location. The runner-up will appear live here on First and Foremost, along with their video presentation, and they will receive a sponsor's basket full of goodies. The winner will be announced on a special edition of First and Foremost on May the 12th. Again, submit your video to Lady London First, F-I-R-S-T, at yahoo.com. If you have any questions, please DM me at Lakeitha London on Facebook or send an email to ladylondonfirst@yahoo.com. My nomination would be First Lady Barbara Jennings of New Providence Baptist Church. First Lady Jennings, the first time I met her, along with my husband, sowed a seed, and she put it in the palm of my hand, and I never even looked at it until I got home. And she did it on several occasions. And I want to be the type of person who can just sow a seed for someone. And I don't know if she knows this, but it changed my life as a first lady. And it really just let me know that what comes from the heart really reaches the heart. So Lady Barbara Jennings, you would be my nomination for the First Lady's Honor Contest. So please submit your 20 to 30 second video telling us why your First Lady is deserving of this honor to ladylondonfirst@yahoo.com. Thank you, and we're looking so forward to the nominations and to the presentations. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're just tuning in with us, yes, this is First and Foremost. The groundbreaking podcast is all about the First Lady. I am your host, First Lady Lakeitha London, and in the first chair is First Lady Toni Johnson from the Sweet Home Missionary Baptist Church. Again, we welcome you. So before the commercial break, we really got into something that I wanted to segue into this great part. So listen to this and tell me what your thoughts are about this. Pastors, we must love and lead our wives before we love and lead the church. You will always disappoint someone, so choose to disappoint others and not the wife of your youth. The others will come and go. They will soon forget and disappoint you, forget the disappointment that you caused them. They will likely one day forget about you too. Your marriage is very different. It is till death do us part.
That's real.
That's real.
That
And it
is
just
real.
speaks volumes about what you just said. It does.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What are your thoughts about this?
I you know what, I agree with that. I will say that I don't necessarily think that they even do it intentionally.
I don't think so either. But it's certainly worth mentioning.
It's worth mentioning. I'm actually very vocal with James, with Pastor James. I'm not, is it okay if I call him James?
Yes,
okay.
because this show is about the women who are taking care of Pastor.
Okay.
So behind when his hat comes off, he James.
Yeah, I'm very vocal, and sometimes, probably too vocal, but I do express, like, if I feel that way, I will go to him and say, listen, I need you to, and he will do his best.
Yes, he'll do his best.
He absolutely will. And I know he prays for me.
I
But
think all husbands do. They have to.
Yeah, and see, my husband also, he works. He, you have some pastors who are just pastors. James worked every day. He doesn't have a lot of downtime, so when he comes home, it's late.
Right.
And then he got to study on Saturday.
Right.
And then here is Sunday.
Right.
And Monday is his day off. And I work that day. So he's so consumed that with all of that, with work, with church, it happens.
It does.
But it's not okay. I'm not saying it's
No,
okay,
I
but
agree.
it does happen.
I agree.
So.
It does. Now, they say that these are the top 3 challenges of the First Lady. I don't know who they are, but, on the computer. Dealing with criticism of my husband, dealing with the expectations from the congregants, and quality time with the husband.
Yeah.
And
Child, that
quality
last
time.
one, he'll be like, stop. Because that last one. But you know what? With the expectations of the church, I am somebody who truly feels like, first of all, this position was not something, like I said, that I expect it. And I'm be honest, when James told me he wanted to be a pastor, I cried. And I was like, Lord, why?
Right.
Because this about to, I
It's
can't.
true.
I'm not gonna be able to dress. I ain't gonna be. I gotta be obedient. I gotta walk.
All of that.
Yeah, all of that is
All
so.
of that.
For me, with the second one, my purpose and my main goal is to support my husband.
Of course.
I'm not trying to be funny. I don't care about people expectations of me because God expects me to be his backbone.
Yes.
To help him. And so whatever I do for the church is because I want to, not because someone tells me I need to.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you think, and maybe because you guys are close in age, have known each other, that those conversations come easier? Because I know a lot of, and when I say seasoned people, with people who've been involved in marriages, say, and I guess again, excuse me, that's how you separate pastor from husband, because you need to be able to have that conversation at home and say, look, I need you to take off your bishop hat for a second.
Yeah.
Just be my husband.
Yeah. He is more of a he take his hat off. And
Good.
like you said, because we've been together for so long, like it's most of my life. You think about it, I met him when I was 11. I'm about to be 44.
Yeah.
So that problem I don't have. Me and James have a great friendship. I don't even have a problem. And he's a great pastor too.
Of course.
But yeah, with him taking his hat off when it comes to that, it's no problem when it comes to that.
Well, that's
that
good.
Area.
That's good. That's good. And I think younger pastors are able to do that more so than the older pastors.
Believe so.
I believe so too. Yeah, because my sisters and I have these conversations. Anyway, younger pastors can do that. What is the one thing that you wish that you had been told as a first-time first lady? Because you come in there, the pastor knows what he's supposed to do, and I know we don't talk about the expectations of the first lady.
Yeah,
but
I mean, people don't. I think for me it's a little different because the dynamics at our church, a lot of people come in and it's not a first lady there. When my church, it's still a first lady, Lady Gwendolyn Johnson. So that's why I don't mind being Lady Johnson. I'm somebody.
Understood.
Yeah,
I understand that now.
I really don't mind that. I have her there, so if I do have questions, she's always there to guide me in that area of the first lady position.
Yes.
So she kind of she always was always training us a little.
Well, that's good.
To be honest, because all of her sons are married, and LaToya, which is my sister, she's married to Clarence, and she taught her and gave her, pointers on being a first lady. That's and awesome. Dawn Johnson, that's JaVale's wife. So we picked up a lot of things from her, and it's a benefit that she's actually there. I don't mind taking the seat back,
right?
But
Understood.
absolutely.
So
they still call her first,
and
I don't have a problem with it.
Right, and I understand that. I understand that. I do understand that now. Who do you confide in? Is mom the go-to person?
My mom is watching.
Okay, Mom.
My mom, I would say, if I'm going to be honest, my mom used to always be my go-to person. We were always very, very close. I think after my son passed away, I've kind of have not really
found anyone.
Yeah, it's like you kind of I've kept a lot to myself.
Yes.
So I really haven't went to anyone or really confided in anyone. I will say that me and James, after this, we confide in each other even more. So. Yeah.
But what if he's the problem? And let's just say that.
I really like talking to people about my husband.
Understood. Let me do this. This is a segue. Let me say this is a segue. Have you ever asked a stranger for advice or talked to a stranger? I have.
Really?
Yeah, because you needed an unbiased opinion. And I would be too afraid to go to somebody who I knew. So I'd be at the coffee shop waiting. And I say, I just want to
They
ask you a
could be
question.
psychos, though.
Well, you know what? You get to pick and choose the answer. But most of the time, when I've asked people, they've given me really good advice because it's somebody who's really on the outside looking in. And I know there's two sides to every story, but if you pose the question right, you just say, well, what would you do? Or do you think that this was right? You know, and it just gives you a little bit of insight. You know, should I say something? I'd rather do that with a stranger. I will
say there are times I still go to my mom. My mom she's somebody who's not biased. She would tell me I'm wrong. She used to call me, I'd be mad. And she'll be like, Toni, you know you wrong. Go open that door. But she didn't care that I was her daughter. She like, you're wrong. You need to fix it. And so my mom has never been like a biased person ever. So if I do really need to, I would go to her. But I will say I haven't been in that space to go to people, and I definitely don't think I would do it with a stranger. But it's nothing wrong with it. But I don't trust people. I have trust issues. I don't know if you.
Well, you know, the names have been protected to save the innocent. You know what I'm saying? You don't know me. I'm just coming to you with, what if your husband did this, or what do you do that? Because I try not to certainly share anything with my family because it's my problem, and I just want to deal with it. And I certainly wouldn't choose anyone from the church because I wouldn't want them to misinterpret what the issue is.
Child,
so that's
you can't
why.
Tell nobody in church with anything when it comes.
Exactly. Well, that's why I'd rather tell a stranger. They don't know me, and this is just getting advice.
That's real.
I'm going to pick and choose my answer. However, I just want to have somebody's insight that don't know me. So when I step away, I'll be like, oh, okay, she ain't judging me.
I might try it one
day. Just try it one day. You know, when you're at 7-Eleven and you getting coffee and you reach over and say, you know what? Have you ever such and such? What would you do? You know, I have done that on many occasions, and it's really been lifting for me because I don't know you don't really know the situation, but you've given me some sense as to what I should do. Oh, girl, he did that. You know, even sometimes I want that. Girl, he did that. I ain't gonna go crazy, but you know, because we tolerate a lot of stuff.
I will say I do have a friend that I do talk to. I don't talk to her about everything, but I do confide in her, and she's also married. So it helps because we're, I can't go talk to somebody single.
No.
They don't know nothing about, a lot of people be like, oh, it's just marriage. It's just like going to go. No, it's not like going together, man.
No, it isn't. No, it is not. I do believe I said it's till death.
Yeah,
I just
absolutely.
Said that. I'm sorry. Looks like we have a question. Can we have a question for you?
The question is, when did you lose your son?
He passed away May 27th. 2003 on my daughter's 18th birthday.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's almost 3 years. Yeah.
And how do you celebrate that? Are you celebrating with your daughter because it is her birthday? I'm sure she feels some kind of way about it since that question. Thank you guys thank you caller for that question.
Yeah. I will say
make it good for her.
Okay, so people think I'm crazy when I say this. I feel like God's timing, everything happens in God's timing, and the way that it happened, I'm glad it did because it was around the time where we had all these graduations. Okay, so we have like 4 kids in the family that were graduating from high school, going off to prom, and so it allowed us not to really just sit and just wallow in it because we had to go celebrate many people.
That's true.
And I think if we didn't have all of that going on around that time, we probably would have went into this sunken place. But every year what we do is we choose not to celebrate his death.
Right. Good.
We choose to celebrate his birthday, his life.
And that's the way it should be.
And I don't want my daughter to feel like that has to be associated with her birthday as well.
Good, very good.
So him passing on her birthday is kind of like it's bittersweet. Yeah,
that is true. That is true. And as a mother, you have to navigate those nuances because she's older now. She might understand, but when she's little, you want to celebrate her. It's not your fault. It didn't happen like that. I think that's wonderful. What event or time in your life would you like to relive? You get a do-over. What would you like to do over?
Goodness gracious, I am not good with these.
What?
I have some. Some of this stuff is not for TV.
That's what they all say, isn't that right, Jason?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get another one. I would say a do-over. I would want to have children at a later age, but the same kids, like the exact same kids, but have it later, because I feel like I would have preferred to be more established, because it's like you want your kids to look up to you. Right now I feel like I am kind of existing and I'm in a comfortable space, and it's something that I'm really trying to break out of. You know, sometimes God got to make you uncomfortable so that you can move. But I really feel like if I could have had children a little bit later, just waited, still had the same kids, that would be something I would definitely do over.
Well, what is it? What is it? Something that the future holds for you? What do you want to do?
I want to go back to school. I really do. I've been battling with staying in the medical field because I went back for nursing a couple of times. Every time I went back for nursing, I got pregnant. I have hard pregnancies, and so I'm high risk most times, with the last few. So, and every time I'll sign up for my classes, and find out I'm pregnant. And so I was like, okay, God, am I not supposed to be a nurse? Or, you know, like, what is it? But that is something I do want to pursue. I've been thinking about pursuing, so we'll see.
Yeah, well, we're going to be praying for you for that direction. As like I said, Lady Carly is going back to school. She's working on her associates. She says she got pregnant in high school, so she's trying to she's doing it over, and her husband is allowing her to do that. I had my first
at 19, so I was young too. So
and she's still now she's going back to school.
So it's possible.
It is definitely possible. And husband is working, so he can say, "Hey, baby, you know, he can do that for you. He can do that." I know we're going to be getting ready to wrap up soon, so it's just two things I want to ask you. Has Pastor ever forgot to acknowledge you in his intro at a church? Never. What is he?
Because I be like.
You see her giving them the eye.
You know what? No, but I don't. That is so funny that you asked that, because that is a conversation people have for sure.
I know it is.
I think he might have once, but someone else got up after him and did it. But for the most part, he never.
Okay, very good.
Yeah,
very good. Very good.
I don't have that problem, thank God. I'd be like, wait a minute, sir. No.
And do you think? No, really. Do you think
I don't really have to have it?
No, you don't have to have it. But if you're sitting in the audience, and because it's like protocol almost, if you get up there, so you're not really waiting for your name, but you know your name is getting ready to be called, and when it's not called, you're like, wait a minute. I have a problem with that.
And it's so weird because I'm somebody who you really don't have to call my name, because when they do, I'm like this. And they're like,
understood.
Sister Johnson, put your hand up, and I'm like, oh my God. But then when he don't, I'm like, wait a minute.
It's a catch-22. They darned if they do, they darned if they don't. I want to hear, but I really don't.
Yeah, which one you want?
Exactly. Which is so hard to please. What are you doing right now in your life that brings you the most pleasure?
Reading.
Are you a reader?
I do. I love reading. I'm actually getting back to it. I used to have a book club called She Reads Too, which I need to start. That
and I'm going to be a part of that when you get that.
Yes, I love to read. I also used to, which Her Circle.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, so I started Her Circle at the church for, the women, just trying to study the word together and learn how to practically apply it to our lives, because you in church every day, you hear this, but how do I practically apply it? And so I think that's one thing I really want to pour more into the our women at the church. Right now I paused our classes because we're getting our Bible study back up and going, but I will start that soon. I used to do something called Worship and Wellness, where it was a exercise class. We had worship, but then we would exercise. And so I used to do that in September. We'll do it for the month of September, and I'm really thinking about doing that because I love exercise.
Now, do you do that as and when I say this, it's like an outing with First Lady, because it's you? Are people drawn to that because somebody else could be doing that? You don't have to
That's
lead
true.
it. You could just
and
participate.
I had a very good turnout.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Very great
I think
turnout.
that's
And you know
wonderful.
what too? I think women just really, the circle that we have, they just want to be heard. Like we just want to be able to sit down and be able to relate.
Yes.
Be able to cry on each other's shoulders. Because like once I teach the lesson, I open up the floor. We literally sit in a circle like we had an AA meeting. And so it just allows you to be vulnerable and be able to talk freely.
Yes.
And then what we like to do is at the end, if someone else, because I believe that a lot of the trials and tribulations that we go through, it's not for us, but it's for us to tell someone else how we overcame it. And so a lot of us in the group, we're overcomers in different areas. And so they're able to speak to that thing.
I love that.
And then whoever needs it, they're getting it at that moment.
Now, how do you maintain privacy? And when I say privacy, because so many of these circles say they start and they say, oh, what stays in a circle, what happens in a circle stays in a circle. And sometimes it doesn't happen. So the people that are in the circle, how do you address that?
You know what? I haven't even thought about that because it hasn't came up. I will hope it does not. I will say I did have a group called Soul Sisters. I was young. I just realized I always liked groups
Sisters,
like
yeah, that ain't nothing wrong with that. That's good. That's good.
And that did happen in a situation before. So I haven't had to address that issue. I hope I never do.
I hope not.
But maybe that's something to think about.
Absolutely
think about. Yeah.
And so when they come in the circle, do you say, I guess, give them and say, hey, what really happens here stays here. This will not go out
I did that
of
at the very
circle.
beginning.
Okay.
And now that I think about it, sometimes we do have new people that come and join, and I do not state that every time, but that is something to make sure to remember to mention.
Because I think a lot of people who may want to say something may clam up because they're afraid, I don't want to hear this in church tomorrow.
And that's why we don't record it. That's another thing.
Of course.
There's men there to make sure that we're safe, but they won't come into the sanctuary. They stay out, because they know it is such a sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah, it's very sensitive.
Yes.
So we're being very vulnerable. So they know that, and so they try to just give us our space so that we could just have our way.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, I'm looking forward to you getting the book club back together.
Yes.
And I've been invited to a circle. I think I may join that. So, ladies and gentlemen, guess what? Here we go at the end of another great, fantastic show with another great, fantastic First Lady, really letting us know what really happens when the hat comes off. I have truly enjoyed this. Got a chance to learn a little bit about my brother James. I'm certain to get closer with you because your sister is she's such a delight. She was on my program and she just ran with it, and I just appreciate that.
You gotta get her on here.
Oh, she's coming. We've already talked about that. We've already talked about that. So as we get ready to close out, I am going to say thank you guys again for joining me on another episode of First and Foremost. I look so forward to seeing you on next week, same time, same place. I think we're going to have a special guest next week talking about our hats because we are talking about our First Lady honors. Please send in those videos to First Lady, Lady London First at yahoo.com so that you can nominate your First Lady of Honor. I'm looking forward to looking at some of those videos. So before we get ready to go, I am going to give First Lady Toni Lene an opportunity to send some shout outs, some loves, and some words of encouragement. But until next week, take care. God bless. Lady Lene.
Well, I just want to thank all the viewers for that tuned in. I am very appreciative because you can be watching anything, but you chose to tune in. I love you all, and have a blessed day.
So thank you and good night.
Thank you and good night.